Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program. Let's click resume and get right back into it. So last time we left off, we were dealing with power issues, but we had mostly fixed them, I think. So hopefully that is fine. And let's see, if we check this, it's currently discharging, but not by that much. So we did set up this whole deuteron reactor thing over here, which helps. And then we have the antimatter stuff from the Dyson shell, which should also be working. So ideally, power is not going to be much of an issue anymore. So our next goal then is going to be dealing with dark fog, probably, because dark fog is quite troublesome, and they've been doing a lot of stuff and making attacks and stuff. So we want to deal with them. So we have planetary shield generators is like gonna be one of the things, because those can stop they can stop relay stations from landing. So if we put those up everywhere we care about and then blow up the ground hives, then we should be safe from that side. And then from that point onwards, we can then start worrying about the space hive, which is also going to be quite angry with us, but the shield generators should help with that too. So let's see. First of all, did I ever actually automate? I don't think I ever automated planetary shield generators. I think I manually crafted one or two. Let's see, what do they even look like? They're this sort of pillory looking thing. Alright, do I have those automated anywhere? Just going to give a quick flyover. Actually, let's stop by this charging port because we are below half right now. So we can stop there and get ourselves charged up. Check the power grid while we're at it. Seems to be doing fine. The accumulators are still having plenty of time charging. So if we look over here at the science, yeah, so we don't have green science, but we do have all the other types. So is there anything we can research? I guess we can research crystal shell sets and chemical, legendary fancy chemical plants. Those are green. Those are obviously green. Those are obviously green. So I believe that's, once those two are done, that will be all of the purple science in the technology side queued up. So now we just need to see if any of these guys still let you do that. So you, I don't think I care about that at all. So we'll see if there's any other things first. All those require green stuff. Solar sail life. Why not? Let's queue those guys up so that that can go faster. Then there's pile sorter upgrade and vertical construction. So let's just get like all of these guys queued. And then those guys all require green. That requires purple. And then down here is the combat-based stuff, which we will look at later, I think. Because for now, we probably queued up too many things all at once anyways. So we will just leave that be. And yeah, if we check over here, this is where our military defensive stuff is, and no planetary shield generators. So we need to start crafting those, and they should be relatively easy to craft, although the power demand is going to be very high to get like a reasonable amount of them. So we need steel, EM turbines, particle containers, and magnetic rings. So I think the EM turbines might be ones which we need to drag furthest. Yeah, so these end all the way back here. So we're just gonna build a thing to automatically make them, and then hopefully we can get enough to not have to worry about it. All right, crystal shell set. Very good. Just ignore that for now because we want the planetary shields first. And the power consumption on that is going to be probably enormous. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that, aside from just letting the Dyson sphere cook a little bit. Or potentially setting up even more stuff. But we will see what happens with that. We'll worry about getting them built up first, and then we can worry about what to do with them. So that goes all the way out. The particle containers and the magnetic rings are both here. So now it's just steel, which we need to worry about. And I believe steel
Flight mode
shouldn't be too far. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this belt just drags forwards a bit on altitude 1, like everything else. Just send that forwards, and then a little bit further forwards. Okay, so now we have all of those out here towards the end of the bus. So let's get an assembler row in, and we need to get it lined up properly, which is not easy with that gigantic thing in. So we have to, this exact angle is just like really inconvenient, but it's forced, unfortunately. So we just click that in, and that should be fully correct. So then we just bring the replicator belt across, and a power pole can connect the two up. Okay, so now these assembly machines can produce planetary shield generators. So now we get all these inputs going. So we go logistics, splitters, you get a splitter, you get some foundation, and then you get a splitter, and you get a splitter. And then there was one other thing, it was the magnetic rings, right? So that needs a chunk of foundation in there. And then a splitter goes into there. So now we connect all of these belts up to the splitters, like that. Now we just connect them in. So we've unlocked the fancy chemical plants, which at some point we'll get around to actually doing something with them. But chemical plants are not the most common type of building, so who knows when we'll need that. So all these belts go in, and all of them get built up. And there we go. So now those are in and making planetary shield generators. Now we run all the way down this way, and we can put those into a box, which is going to be just a single stack probably.
Flight mode.
So now we connect up this belt all the way across the bus to that box, which is going to go something like that. And then it all gets built up. And this should be plenty of these. We shouldn't have any issues with that. Alright, so we have planetary shield generators now. And we can grab a stack of them. And we want them to be crafting slowly, I think. Just so that it doesn't drain that much resources. Because it's not going to be something that gets used a lot. Okay, so we want planetary shield generators. And so the problem is that I have no idea how to tell, like, how closely to space these. So we can have 80 of them on the planet, but there's just no way of knowing, like, how much of the planet it's actually covering. At least not last time I was able to see. Is there like a... Yeah, I mean, we can place them right next to each other, which I assume isn't necessary. But hopefully this shield generator will protect most of our power stuff, like the Dyson sphere launchers, and all of these guys up there will hopefully be close enough for this shield generator to work. And they'll probably be considerably easier on the other planets, where obviously getting the power there is going to be more of an issue, but I don't have to cover the literal entire planet, which will be quite helpful. Alright, so this is still just launching away. Slowly chipping away at that. These guys are slowly building up the equatorial band, which seems to be working fine. So it's currently producing 219 from the Dyson shell, and then another 60-ish from the swarm.
Extraterrestrial dark fog is assaulting.
And that's just going to keep getting better over time. Okay, so you can actually kind of see the bubble that this is creating. And so far it's pretty big. And is it going to keep expanding past the point where it hits normal, or is it just going to be like this for now? Because if it keeps expanding, right, how many degrees are this? I can't. So this is like 2%. Sure is the state where the shield height at a certain location on the planet is no less than elevation. I don't understand what these words mean. I don't understand what these words mean, but it is seemingly covering quite a large chunk. So now it's hit normal and it's at 99% support. Now it's at 100% support, so does that mean that it is just fully covered? Like, it's not going to expand bigger than this, probably? That's probably true. Okay, so now that is taking in a whole lot of power. And is there any way of telling it to store less? Apparently not. Well, hopefully the grid can handle that. And I wish I could, like, zoom out in some way that showed me the shield. Oh wait, maybe? There's like some information over here. Fill, coverage, equivalent durability. I don't understand what this means, and it doesn't seem to show me like what part of the planet is actually covered. Maybe in this view? Add shield to dashboard. No, okay, that doesn't do anything, I don't think. Alright, we're just going to ignore that then. So this shield, if we look at it from this view specifically, we can see that it covers out to like here. And that's like decent amount of coverage, I guess. So let's see here. If we're standing here, just like on the edge of the bubble, so we can see how far out it goes to. Okay, now we can actually see it. We just have to keep this menu up at all times. Okay, so that's not terrible, but we are going to need a lot of them in order to get absolutely everything covered, which, I mean, this planet is so, like, interdependent that I don't even know if this is useful. Like, surely if they want to land somewhere and destroy stuff, they'll just land somewhere else, and then this won't help unless we actually have 80 or whatever. But at that point, like, there's no way that our power grid can handle that. Right, like, even now it's not doing super great. Although we do have our artificial stars going and charging it up, so it could be a lot worse. I wonder, is there some way of just telling this to have less power buffer? It'd be cool if there were. Alright, so this stacks up to 20. So, like, if we wanted to just spam a bunch of these around, we could do that.
Dark fog is assaulting.
But the power grid, like, the longer it takes for us to do that, the more the Dyson swarm will be functional. So if we go over here and look at the Dyson sphere stuff, this is already up to 222, so it's actually rising pretty quickly. It's actually rising reasonably fast. So that's good. Yeah, power remains like our primary issue here, so these are producing, but there don't seem to be the limiting factor. It looks like the quantum chips are the limiting factor. Yeah, so the Dyson sphere components are actually backlogging. So if we fix the quantum chips, we can get even more carrier rockets going. So what do quantum chips need? They need more plane filters. And the plane filters need more titanium glass. And the titanium glass needs more regular glass, looks like. Okay, so that should be a relatively straightforward fix. We just have to fly all the way down. You know, we're definitely flying like 80% of the way around the planet, and it would have been smarter to just go the other way around, but we're mostly there now, so we might as well finish off going this way. Alright, so here is our glass production, and it is quite small, which is good because it means we can expand it drastically without much work. Like, if we just pop that in, and another one, and another one, and another one. And we have to click force build for those last couple because the power pole was being blocked off, but it shouldn't be an issue. So now we just connect all the belts across, and we have to do that whole line, and then we get these finished off. Okay. So now we have that, and we probably need to upgrade this belt to be fast enough. Alright, so this belt here is now all upgraded. Now we probably need to upgrade the output belt, which that seems to have done the trick, just with that one selection. Alright, so now that should be upgraded enough that we're not going to have throughput problems. Okay, so now we just have to check on the stone input, which seems to be quite limited, and it's weird that this is going in and not filling up the output belt, but this isn't covering for the excess. So let's upgrade you to a full blue belt. So now it looks like there's still a belt speed limitation down this way. Yeah, all the way down here. Click that up. And we need to just keep going backwards here until it's fully set up.
Flight mode.
So we go all the way back to there. And we get that one upgraded as well. And that should be everything. So past this point, the speed limitation is not the input size.
Flight mode.
Actually, if we go all the way down here, this is... Okay, let's upgrade you to one of the fancy high-tech miners. Because we have those now, so we can just pop you down onto there. And out goes the belt. And let's set you up to 200% collecting speed so that we will hopefully have enough stone for all this.
Flight mode.
So now that goes all the way down this way, and it hits here, and we had enough of a stone buffer that we actually have a full setup here anyways. So that is quite good. Now the amount of glass going out is going to be quite high, and hopefully that will deal with our titanium glass problems. We will have to check to see if that happened or not in a minute, once it has time to actually like propagate through.
Flight mode.
So let's head down here. Oh, we need to continue upgrading these just in case. I don't think that was an issue, but it was certainly unpleasant to look at, just all the things slowing down and then accelerating again. So now that's fixed up. We fly all the way down here, and we should see much better progress.
Flight
Stopped a
mode.
little bit early. So it's in here. And yes, so now the glass is backlogged. The titanium glass output is actually backlogged. Alright, solar sails last even longer now. Don't hate that at all. Okay, so now the plane filters are doing their thing at full speed, it looks like. And there's no problems with these guys down here. They are all working. They have plenty of Casimir crystals, plenty of titanium glass. So hopefully that will correspond to plenty of quantum chips. I know that we need them for a lot of things, so it's not going to be easy to get there. And one of the things we need them for is green science, which is just a permanent drain. So yeah, that's the thing. But it should be all right at this point. They're going out relatively quickly. And how much... Actually, how's the speed on this, right? So the plane filters are 1 every 12 seconds. The quantum chips need like 1 every 3 seconds for a machine to work. So basically we need way more plane filter production, and we hopefully can just do that with a relatively easy expansion. So if we just grab you and we just paste you out, so we can expand this quite a bit. We're not going to be able to expand it like infinitely or anything, but hopefully it will work. Black item, probably the foundation, I guess. Alright, that's fine. So all this stuff goes in. It looks like the output belt needs to get connected properly. And that should be more plane filter production, which hopefully will get quantum chip supply back under control. Obviously, there's not that much
Extraterrestrial dark
we
fog
can
is
do
assaulting.
in the main bus design to expand much beyond that because we're getting close to the poles. But hopefully that will last for a little bit. Alright. And that attack has been dealt with. So we're still holding out nicely. We're not running into... I mean, things aren't actually getting destroyed, which is always good. And the green science has had a fair amount of time to build up. And what was the other thing? It was these which were relying on the quantum chips. So they are outputting, let's see, last time I looked up here we were at 222 megawatts from the sphere. We've gained another 10 just in that short time. So that's great. Now the power buffer here is going fine. We are currently in a discharging phase, and we don't have that much energy accumulated to do that with. But hopefully it'll be okay.
Flight mode.
We just always need more of these guys to be running the artificial stars. And then that should be fine. Alright, so we've gotten more vertical construction, which is cool. Not that we use that for all that much, aside from the science labs. But it is always nice to have a little bit extra there. And now we're going to be getting, this is the pile sorters. So that now they should theoretically be able to stack up to 4 items. Alright, energy accumulated is getting quite low, and the amount that we're charging is getting quite high. So this Deuteron setup is still going properly. Like, this is working as much as it can. And I don't know how exactly the actual fuel supply is going on it. Alright, the stars are active. And even with all of that, we're like barely breaking even. And I guess part of that's the planetary shield charging, but this is quite concerning actually. So we need to
Mineral depleted.
We need to
Flight mode.
grab some more foundations, because I think we've run out of those. Yeah, we're down to 20. So we fly over here, grab some more foundations, and then expand out the Deuteron fuel setup. Oh, we should also... I'm pretty sure... Were we low on spray coaters? Yeah, I think we were. Let's grab some of those. And then we can also grab another stack of foundation.
Flight mode.
Now we fly back over here, and it's really weird how close this is. Like, we have basically, at this point, gone all the way around the planet.
Flight mode.
Okay, so we can expand this up by simply copy-pasting you. We can use now, and then aligning a couple of those guys in. So now we need to grab the mini fusion power plants, which
Upgrade
I'm
complete.
pretty sure we have in a box over here. So we grab those, we run over, and that is a whole lot more of that going. And now we have to hope that we actually have enough Deuteron fuel to do anything with it. So that should be... Yeah, so power is now much better, but we're still running low. And the amount of fuel that we have is somewhat limited. I mean, maybe it's fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. So obviously setting it up like that has caused a bit of a shockwave through that setup, but it should recover. And if not, then we can always just expand this out a little bit more, although it's pretty expanded already. I don't want to rely that heavily on that stuff because it's obviously like consuming resources to produce power instead of doing it for free, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, power supply is going down. We have more of the critical photons showing up. And we also have the artificial suns going now. Okay, so we are back to the point where we are charging things up. And the planetary shield looks like it's mostly done receiving extra charge. So that is good. Hopefully this will last us. And again, we just need to stall until the Dyson sphere is built up enough to not make it an issue. Which, if we look over here, the shell is still like less than like a third done or so. Probably somewhere around a third, actually. And it's getting better pretty quickly. So as long as our power grid doesn't completely explode, we should be able to be fine in the long run. So that is going. Everything else is getting launched. And the power grid just continues to go crazy. I don't want to place down another shield generator until we have enough backlog in our accumulators that if something like that happens again, we won't bottom out. Alright, so pile sorter has now been upgraded. So that's like all the science we had queued up at that point, right? So now we just need to check here. And we're currently discharging even with one of the artificial stars going. Even if only barely. So this is still technically charging up a little bit, so hopefully that will end soon. Now let's look over at the green science production, see how that's gone. So we just need to fly all the way down this way. And if we can leave the science production idle just like temporarily so that we don't have to do as much power, then that might be beneficial. Unless the science we're getting out of it is good. Like that is 1475 green science. So, with that much green science, in the technology tab we can unlock Dyson Sphere Stress System or Universe Matrix, which I don't know why we would need that. Gravity missiles and antimatters, both potentially nice to have, but we still have this gigantic power issue. So can we get... Yes, we can get ray transmission efficiency. And that will get us a whole lot better off there. So that goes up. And I don't know how it... I don't know what solar sail attaching speed even is. Like, does it have something to do with... Like, I assume it has something to do with constructing them to the Dyson sphere, but I don't know, like, how that works or what it does. I've never, like, deliberately told solar sails to attach to the Dyson sphere, so... Yeah, I don't even know, like, if that's a thing that I need to worry about doing manually, or if I'm doing something wrong. But the power grid continues to expand. And it's up to over 300 from the Dyson sphere in total. But we are now reaching the limits of what our current power production can possibly handle. So that is actually just like an accumulator shortage, not anything else. So the problem is that we don't have enough accumulators with power in them to actually output everything. So let's go find our accumulator supply, and we actually have... This should be... Okay. This should be charging accumulators, but it doesn't look like it has been doing that, or they've all been going into here. I don't understand. You have 5 accumulators. Obviously you're not charging now, but how have you just never charged? I don't... Oh, I see. This one still has a bunch that it wants to take. Okay. So let's, first of all, yoink those 40 charged accumulators and those 18 charged accumulators. So we have those. Now let's run up here. And can we just place those down?
Mineral depleted.
And just, we put those in, and they will have charge, which they will immediately start to discharge, which is fine, because that's ultimately what we want this to be doing, right? So now that is just a giant bank of power, which should
Flight mode.
help, at least in the short term. And we are charging accumulators again, so that is temporarily... We're like right on the fence of whether we're capable of keeping this up or not. Planetary shield has stopped charging entirely, so that should be done. And the rest of the system is depleting, though. The artificial stars being so inconsistent in their power production, like, we just need to get enough power to run these continually, and then we will be much better off. But that requires, hopefully the ray transmission efficiency will do it, and we can even do like another 1 or 2. Does it say where? Ray basic power dissipation is currently 41.334%, so
upgrade.
Now it should be... Now it's 37%. Alright, I don't know. I don't think that's a huge deal. Like, obviously it's better than not, but I don't know how much better we'll be now that we have that. I think we do generally just need to keep... We just need to keep on adding to the grid however we can. And let's place down a row of solar panels, I guess. Just because we have them in our inventory, they're not doing anything in there. They can offset a little bit on the surface of the planet. So we might as well throw them down. And theoretically, like, the less we do, the better off the power grid will be, because there'll be fewer machines running. So I almost want to just, like, completely go off to another planet and just let this sit for a bit. Like, if I go and do a bunch of work, like, on Agena 1, setting stuff up over there, then a lot of the stuff that's running here won't necessarily continue to run, because it will just get fully saturated or whatever. And then we will be better off on the power grid side of things, like these red and blue sciences, for example. They won't need to be running continually. Now, the ray transmission efficiencies, that requires one of each science. That requires white science. So we can get like one more layer of that before it's completely done. Or we can start figuring out what this whole solar sail attaching speed is. And maybe that is also a limiting factor. I'm not entirely sure, but might as well throw it on there because we've done literally none of those researches and it's probably important. It says they absorb solar sails, which I don't know what that means, but maybe it's important. So let's
Flight mode.
let's fly over to the solar sail stuff and see if we can figure that out. Like maybe we need to set these to a very specific orbit or something. So, how does this work? Remove free solar sails. No, that seems like a bad idea. Remove all solar sails. Also seems like a bad idea. Alright, so the attaching speed is higher. Now if we go to here, okay, maybe that's something that we need to have, like, the shell for, so, because currently we just have nodes and frames, but we don't have, like, any shell components. So that might be what we're missing for the solar sails. So we might want to go along and do that. So that would be Dyson Sphere Stress System. We can just pop that in, and it would take 3 minutes if we had all the science. I'm pretty sure we don't have enough green science to actually do it, but we are producing it pretty quickly. Actually, potentially fast enough to add another layer on top, and that those towers are getting real high at this point. Okay, now back over here, the what's it called? The plane filters are now short of Casimir crystals. So if we can get more Casimir crystals in, we'll get more plane filters out, and then that will get the science going faster as well. So, what is the problem with our Casimir crystal supply? Where do those even come from? Do we craft them, or are they just like a raw input? Okay, so Casimir crystals are crafted using an assortment of items, basically. So if we just go down here, these are low on graphene. So they have the hydrogen, they have the grading crystals, so we need to add more graphene production.
Flight mode.
So let's fly down here. I don't know. I think it's pretty far. Like, I don't think we have any graphene production before, like, all the way back. No, this is too far back. No, it isn't too far back. Alright, so this is graphene production, and it is quite long. It could theoretically be longer, or we could get more high-powered quantum chemical plants. So, let's see. How does it take to actually craft those? So we can craft one. We need strange matter and titanium glass and quantum chips.
Flight mode.
Alright, so let's fly around. I think it's probably faster to go around this way because the stuff we're going to is all right near the end of the bus. So strange matter, titanium glass, and quantum chips. And then you can craft up more of those to get the graphene production going better. Okay, so we are too far north right now. And we just need to go back this way. Okay, so we need titanium glass, which fortunately we have a good amount of that. So we grab from there. Strange matter is going to be this stuff back here. Grab all of that. And the quantum chips are much more complicated. But it should be fine, at least for like this temporary upgrade. So, then the next thing we need are
Flight mode.
chemical plants, which I think we've actually not really done any of those on the bus.
Replication complete.
So, let's just fly back over this way, pick up chemical plants. Do we have them over here? No, we don't. So, we just need to fly over here, pick up chemical plants from this area, where I'm pretty sure I thought we automated them. We might not have. Are they like over this way maybe? No. Alright, so we did not ever automate chemical plants in any capacity. Okay, well that's annoying.
Flight mode.
We will need to find some steel then, which should be just like, grab some there. And then craft them up manually. Alright, so those go out. And this should get us, like, at least enough to have the graphene production be a lot faster. We won't be able to upgrade all of these, but if we can just get most of them, then that will be good enough for me. So those upgrades all go through. And that should be a lot better. That should be a lot better, and now we should have hopefully enough graphene to do some stuff. Then let's fly down here to recharge, because that's getting quite low. And while we're here, we can see green science is a limiting factor, but we did manage to get it down to like 300 some. So that should be helpful. And that's just going to keep on ticking down over time. Actually, is yellow science somehow broken? It looks like our yellow science box does not have stuff in it. How has that happened? Almost done charging here. Yeah, the yellow science is definitely flowing straight through, which indicates something is very wrong with it. Alright, we're fully charged up enough for me to go investigate. So, you have plenty of titanium crystals, not enough diamonds. Okay, so it is just diamond production rate, which is the issue. And we can kind of improve that. It's going to be extremely scuffed, because now this is going to be off to the side. So we won't be able to expand this like infinitely back, which I can't imagine we ever would want to do with how much resources that would take. But it is a thing, technically. Okay, wait, no, this is reversed. So you go there, you go there. Alright, so that should hopefully keep the diamond production up a bit better. We still have proliferator on everything, right? Looks like that's not an issue. Okay, so the research is about to finish, so let's fly on down to our Dyson sphere setup area, so we can see what, if anything, we need to do over here.
Upgrade.
We knew you can pave the planet. Yeah, I'm aware. I have been doing that to an extent. It's just like I've been paving over things like as we go. Like when I need to place something, then I pave over that area. I haven't been completely covering the entire thing, just because it isn't really necessary. But yeah. Alright, so we've gotten that. So now if we go to open editor, so now we've got this. So we can actually build something like a Dyson shell. So, we can do this. I don't know how exactly this works. There's like things are being highlighted, but I'm clicking and nothing is happening. Alright. What on earth am I supposed to do with this? Okay, hitting escape doesn't do anything. Of course. Alright. Let's form a closed polygon. Maybe we have to like put frames up here or something. I don't understand how this works. So obviously we can like make some squares. I keep hitting escape. I need to stop hitting escape. That goes too far back. Alright. What am I supposed to do in this menu? Like, there are all these options, and they don't seem to do anything. Like, I'm left clicking and I'm right clicking and nothing's happening. So that is quite confusing. Show grid canvas. What does that mean? Geometric grids 2, graticule grids. I don't understand. When you have the frame, you need to put them on the points. Okay, so if we just like do something like this. I hit escape again. So we have something like that. Ah, I see.
You've planned a Dyson
like that.
shell.
Got it.
Once the nodes and frames on the shell are built, the solar sails will be automatically attached and form the Dyson shell.
Okay.
Each solar sail provides one cell point. You can check the cell points required for the Dyson sphere in shell panel.
Yes. Obviously bigger than that. We're going to be doing more than that once we figure out how it works. Okay. So, if we just like how is this going to work? So if we just go like out there maybe, then we put this in. That's not giving it as an option. Oh, because I keep hitting escape. I need to stop hitting that button every 5 seconds. Alright, so then this needs to have a frame connecting it like that. And then we select that. Okay. So then what do the nodes do then? So if we have that, then we can just build that like theoretically enormous. Yeah. Okay. So if we just do this, like what do these options do? So okay, so the nodes can only be so far apart. Now, if I like, how is this supposed to look? Like, is it supposed to be just giant cubes? I guess like this, but as big as possible. Like, is there any reason to have the nodes super close together, or should they just be super far apart? I don't understand like what any of these strategies do, basically. So, yeah, if we just go like that. And we connect up like that. Then, what if we take that out? Okay, what if we just like try to make... I don't even know what the differences between these even are. It doesn't say. So let's just... If we just have this, like, as far apart out as that, and then... So, like, that would be a segment. So it's purely just an aesthetic thing? Okay. So we would have a segment like that, maybe? And that would be, like, approximately what we're doing, probably. Alright. So if we just, like, expand that out as much as possible, then we just keep on... I guess we would just do something like this, have a second row up here, and then we would connect things along, like, between the rows. So it'd be something like this. Alright, apparently we've succeeded at building something. This area is gonna look all weird. Okay, so we have that set up. Then we connect these up across, and then we put the shells in between. So if it's something like this, I keep hitting buttons. I keep hitting buttons that I'm not meaning to hit. So if we just do this, and then we click to place the frames in between, then that should possibly do it. So it's just something like this, and then, I mean, this is going to take 2 billion years for it to ever finish, but, and then this area in here is incredibly scuffed, so we'll have to probably go in here and remove some of that, and then connect that up, and okay, so that is theoretically like half of this constructed, or at least organized. So now we just need to get all these things to connect, and the solar sails should attach into the nose somehow, and then make these. And then that should somehow boost the generation capacity, hopefully by a lot, because we need a lot of power. And we also probably want to do more EM rail ejection, because... Actually, can we open this back up again? Like, how much of this stuff do we need? So for the cell points, we have 83,000 planned, like 1,000 some attaching. So I assume that's going to be like 83,000 solar sails. So if we want that to be at all practical, we're going to want to figure out EM rail ejector more than just like this one thing, I assume. Although maybe we just leave it be and hope that it works out fine. How's the power grid currently? Currently, power grid looks fine. So hopefully we don't have to worry about any of that. And science is sciencing. And alright, looks like we've gotten quantum chips back under control, and now the gravitational lenses are actually the limiting factor again. So if we go down here, these are taking diamonds. Right, that was the reason that diamonds were in short supply earlier down at the yellow science, because the lenses are taking up a bunch of them too. Though hopefully this setup will have largely fixed that. Let's expand it out even more. And I grabbed that, copy pasted in kind of a gross way, but it'll be fine. So we just add those guys all in. And that, there's apparently just like a random thing down here for organic crystals, which is a little bit in the way, but hopefully we won't need to expand much further than this. And then the next time we need to upgrade this, we're just going to go and find those rare items to actually get better smelters and then swap up to those. Alright, so that should... If this isn't enough diamonds, I'm going to be very annoyed. But hopefully it will be. I mean, I guess it's the sort of thing where you can just sort of always use more, but hopefully that will be a good quantity for producing plenty of green science. So that is going along. We still have enough of these for now, so like green science is currently going at full speed, which is quite cool. Alright, so now down here at the solar sail production, these are doing just fine. And we just need to launch way more of them. And that should be fine to just sort of run for a while, I think. Let's just check one more time. Yeah, everything looks normal. We still have 1,000 some solar sails attaching and a bunch of structure points planned. And generation capacity just continuing to go up. So that should be fine if we just leave that be and preferably don't do anything that consumes like an enormous amount of power, then hopefully it should be fine. Well, now we've gotten the goal pop up to unlock universe matrix, which I guess
Flight mode.
at some point we should do that, but I think I'm going to leave it be until we have most of the regular science stuff done. So down here we have actually a lot of green science backed up since it's running so fast. So we don't really need those, I don't think. We could just like upgrade solar sail attaching speed, or we could just do like random combat based researches. Like if we can get our space squadron at 6,000, no thank you. Let's do ground squadron expansion instead. So ideally we can get our combat stuff better off so that that can just passively be improved. And then we're going to have to start worrying about actually fighting Dark Fog instead of mostly just ignoring them and letting them run into laser turrets. So that's going to be a whole giant process. So, is that just the next thing that we move on to, I guess? So we can stand here in the power grids. We don't really need to recharge. But like the Dyson sphere is constructing slowly but surely. And science is going reasonably well for now. So, yeah, I think it's time to start thinking about defenses. This has gone back to quantum chips being an issue, which is fine. That is okay as long as they're not painfully slow, which they seem to be. They seem to be struggling for Casimir crystals. Yeah, right? Casimir crystals are having issues again. But they have all the inputs, it's just their production line is slow, so that's probably fine. I think we just leave that as is for now. We have enough green science production that it shouldn't be a major issue. And obviously the quantum chips are used for a bunch of stuff. So the shortage is a bit of an issue for other purposes, but it should be fine. Okay. So yeah, just check up here. Is this... How close are we to having this run continually? Seemingly not very close, although we actually do have more excited photons coming out, so it could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse, but it's still pretty bad. Okay, so for defenses, plasma turret is something that I'm quite interested in getting, because that is like a good defense versus space. And then I guess we can get the short-range plasma turret as well, which they take energy capsules, and these are basically like the late-game defenses against dark fog, space especially, right? So, what does it take to make an energy capsule? Like, how affordable are those? Plasma capsules is graphene, magnets, and 10 deuterium, which could be worse. Like, that's not completely impossible. Now, I wonder if that's a priority or if we can just get by with missiles, because we have better missiles that we can unlock, right? We have supersonic missiles and then gravity missiles or something as well. So I don't know what those are going to look like. Let's let the ground squadron research finish and then go back here and queue up gravity missiles. So these are
dark fog is assaulting.
like 200 some damage in a 10-meter blast radius, whereas the plasma shots are
Upgrade complete.
like 500, so a lot more damage with a comparable blast radius, but a lot fewer shots per thing. And I think these probably don't have the advantage of the... Let's see, actually. So the missile turrets can like shoot from super far away against ground targets. The plasma turrets have actually better range for space defense. So I guess, yeah, I guess probably we should just get plasma turrets done so that we can just swap over to those and they'll be much better off. Unless what are the implosion shell things? They have much larger blast radius. So like 15 meters instead of 10 or 8. But they do a lot less damage. I think it should be fine to just get one type of defensive thing, and then it should work out mostly. So, we set all this stuff up, and we will grab plasma turret. Are these the same recipe? No, they're actually different. Wonderful. Alright, so we get that set up and pasted across. Now, you need 5 inputs and an output, so we're going to have to run that additional input along there, and then get it connected up to the sorters. Okay, so you need titanium alloy, titanium glass, magnetic rings, plasma exciter, processor. I think plasma exciters are like all the way back somewhere. So magnetic rings are right here. So let's just pop down some foundation and expand that out. So you come across to here. Titanium alloy is up this way. So let's give you a spot. And yeah, stuff is getting damaged. That's why we're working on upgrading our defenses. And that goes across, and all gets built up. Okay, so we have those two. Then it was titanium glass, processors, and plasma exciters. And titanium glass, plasma exciters, processors. Yeah, those are the 3 things that we need going forwards. Alright. Gravity missile set unlocked. Don't know whether or not I'm actually going to use those, but maybe. So, processors are here. And that gets expanded forwards out to that general area. And then it's going to get a bit of foundation and a splitter. So that goes in. Then we need titanium glass and plasma exciters. Titanium glass should be somewhere out here, I think. Not too far back, but somewhere in this general vicinity. And probably further than this. Is that titanium glass? Yes, that's titanium glass back here. Okay, so we just bring this belt forwards, super long distance, get all that stuff built up. And we just continue bringing that belt forwards. So all of that goes out. And then that should be far enough forwards that you can be set up properly. And now we just need to find the plasma exciters, which could be anywhere. Also, it seems like some power pole that wasn't under battlefield analysis base coverage got hit by something. That's annoying. I'm going to have to deal with that at some point. So where are the plasma exciters? They're like going to be all the way back here, aren't they? Super, super early. Yeah, here they are. So they go out to this. And they do run forwards a fair bit. What was I doing with that? That was silly. Alright. They do actually run forwards a fair bit, I just didn't see them. Out to here. So now we just extend this forwards as far as it'll go. And do we need to grab more of those belts in like that so we can actually place them? And then hopefully the logistics bots will actually get restocks of belts while I'm just running through here.
Extraterrestrial dark fog is assaulting.
So those all go forwards. And they just keep going. This is the annoying part of the bus, when you have to drag a belt 500 miles from where it was last used. Alright, so this is most of the way forwards. A little bit more. And we're still only at green science production. We still have so much further to go. So we just have to keep on clicking. Yes, it is a very good bus. It has worked quite well for us up to this point. So we just keep on going. And then we're up to where we need to be. Alright, so that should be everything, right? Yes, that should be everything. So we get you in, then we run back here, pop a little bit of foundation down, and then you. So now we just need to officially connect these, the ones that we hadn't done already. So that gets connected up, and that gets connected up. And now we attach these into the production lane. So you go down that way. And we just snake all these guys around. And then just a little bit further, so you have to go out to that one actually. And then this one comes all the way down to that far input. And now we just have to get the belt constructed. So that all goes across. And now we should have plasma turrets producing. Yeah, there they go. So those are now running. And we can then take this belt out, just send it all the way over there to the other side of the bus, where we can then store them. If only I had made the design be that these were all, the storage boxes were all over there. That would be quite convenient, but I didn't think of it, so here we are. So that goes into a box, which is going to be limited to like maybe 2 stacks, because this is a defensive thing, so we might want to place quite a bunch of them. Nah, probably just 1 stack should be fine. And then we can grab those for ourselves, and then just let that keep on producing. So our next step is the plasma capsules, although we could do antimatter capsules, but I do not have much antimatter to spare, so we're not going to. Instead, let's upgrade combat drone durability, maybe. Just always a reasonably useful benefit to have. And let's pop down another one of these guys. And that certainly is going crazy up there. Do I have any regular belts? No. Let's go and restock then. It's going to be actually easier to fly around this way, almost certainly. So we fly over this way until we find the box with all of our belts in it, which should be somewhere just like right over this way. And it's not delivering them to me for some reason. Okay, I guess all of its bots were out trying to deliver to me, and then I escaped them. Alright, so that's fine. So that is set up. Now we can just run back this way. And let's see, where is this? It's just like a quick jump across the currently unconstructed areas back over to here.
Mineral depleted.
So now we can do all the stuff with our belts. So that connects up. These make plasma capsules, which we just paste that recipe across. We need graphene, magnets, deuterium. Magnets are going to be extremely painful. Those are going to be all the way on the other side of the planet, like basically just like right over there. I'm gonna have to run them all the way across. The graphene and deuterium should both be present though. So let's see here. Graphene and deuterium. Pretty sure, yeah, graphene is right here. That's not an issue. So we just run that a little bit forwards. Up to there-ish. Then, did that all get built up? Yeah, it did. Alright, so deuterium should also be in this general vicinity, probably further over this way. Hopefully it's not one of these things that we're extremely short on. Oh, it is one of these things that we're extremely short on. Fantastic. Time to go look at my deuterium production again, I guess. So for now, let's at least get it connected up. So that all goes forwards. And a little bit more. Alright, so now we need to look at deuterium production and find the magnets to bring forwards. So we're going to fly back over this way and start working on that. No gas giant with deuterium close. We have a gas giant with hydrogen, but not deuterium. At least, not that I've set up anyways. Alright, so Magnets, magnets, magnets. I didn't even know gas giants could have just like straight deuterium on them. Should probably go looking for that. I hadn't considered that that was an option. Alright, so yeah, the magnets, unfortunately, are all the way here. And we just need to keep... We just need to bring this super far. Yeah, I mean, there might be some gas giant, like, in a close-by system that I just haven't looked at that has deuterium in it. So I should just look to see. Should be relatively easy to find, hopefully. So we have to bring these magnets like 1 billion miles across, literally 90% of the way around the planet. And we just keep going. And they'll get there eventually. As long as we just keep on building this belt. Why is there just like randomly a power pole there? That's specifically not supposed to be power poles in this area. Is this power pole even important for anything? I don't think it is. No, it does literally nothing. Okay, so yeah, we can just continue along. And just keep expanding this belt until the magnets are there. Alright, a little bit more. So now we're up to the green science, so we are most of the way there at this point. And a little bit further, and we should be all set. And just a couple billion more belts, and then we will have the magnets. So that just connects up. And now we finish all of those off. And bam, magnets supplied.
Extraterrestrial dark fog
Okay,
assaulting.
so now we get this set up. So you get a splitter. We get a foundation there with a splitter. And we get a foundation out that way-ish with a splitter. And now all these just connect up to their respective splitters. And then they go in to the production line, and then we will have ammunition. So that can just go, like, out to there. This one can come in that way, and then this one here can squeeze around that way. So that should be all set up, aside from the relative lack of deuterium. That is mostly good. So now we just head all the way over here and pop down a box for these to get sorted into. And then we have to bring this belt all the way across. It's nice that we don't have that many more like unique items to be putting on the belt so that it doesn't keep getting wider at this point, because this is like about as wide as we can make it before we have to start moving the solar panel line. Alright, so that is in. Let's limit this down to like 5 stacks, because it is ammo, like we are going to be burning through a lot of it at some point. Alright, so that is that. Now let's get combat drone attack speed. Let's just keep upgrading those so that hopefully they can eventually be actually useful. And alright, deuterium time. So I believe so this one is fire, ice, and hydrogen. Then the other planets in this system aren't anything useful. So the other systems we visited, where even are they? Do you have any deuterium? Doesn't look like it. At least it's not showing up over here. But maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. So that's the sulfuric acid planet. That's an ice planet or something. I don't know what it's doing. Then we have got this one, which... Let's see here. You have a lava planet. You do have an ice giant, but that's also just hydrogen. Yeah, okay. So, what about these guys? No, that's too far away. You have a whole bunch of weird stuff, but nothing that we are looking for. And then most of these guys are too far until I get that stellar exploration technology thing, which I really should probably have gotten by this point, but I hardly leave the planet, much less the system, so it hasn't really been a priority, but probably should get it. Alright, so in the meantime, let's just check out the deuterium production. It should be manageable to upgrade a little bit. Okay, I think that's... This is the belt providing the deuterium, and it's
Flight mode.
going around this whole giant path for some reason. I can't remember why I did that. I guess because I added it in later. Right, so I had these fractionators and stuff in, and then I added the actual usage for the deuterium later on down the line. So, okay, hydrogen supply. Hydrogen supply is fine. The issue is just the particle accelerator speed.
Flight mode.
So we can add on, hopefully, just a couple more of those. Yeah, we have 8 of those in our inventory, so if we just yoink you, and see, this is where placing it gets difficult now that we're down near the bottom of the planet.
Upgrade complete.
So those all go in, and at least that'll be a little bit better. And then the belts connect up and do extremely wacky things because of the tropic lines. Oh, right, that is going the wrong way. So we will reverse that and then connect that up properly. Let's lose track of which way things are supposed to be pointing. Alright, so that is a couple more of these guys in, and okay, these are all backlogged because this belt hasn't been added in. Alright, so that belt goes in, and now all that deuterium can go out, and hopefully that will solve things. If not, at least get things relatively close. And then we can go up to do... Was this like 1,000? Yeah, okay, so it's 2,000 green science, which is not a small amount, but it should be manageable as well by this point. Like, we have 1,000 just in stockpiles, and we're producing it pretty quickly, so it should be fine. And the other types of science are actually... Yeah, yellow and purple are actually, like, kind of comparable to green in terms of how much backlog we have. So that is concerning. What is this belt? This is the particle something or others, containers or something. And they do not seem to be doing super well. So what is your problem? You are not getting enough EM turbines. I think I just used a bunch of EM turbines for something. So where are they?
Flight mode.
Is there some catastrophic problem with their production? Okay, so they are not getting enough magnetic coils. And the magnetic coils, I assume, are just slow? Okay, no, the magnetic coils aren't getting enough magnets because I just added on a massive setup that uses a bunch of magnets. So that's actually not surprising, and hopefully will resolve itself eventually, but we can just accelerate that by Actually, no, we already have a bunch of magnet production, so it's not super easy to accelerate it by just adding more magnet production. We really need to get those unipolar magnets so we can get better furnaces. We've kind of been struggling with that for quite a while at this point. Okay, so this had some purpose at some point, but I don't think it does anymore. I think that was like a temporary setup because we had items in our inventory that we wanted to throw in, which we should probably do that sort of thing more frequently because boy is our inventory got a bunch of clutter in it, but it should be fine. Okay, so this copper mine area is completely done. So we can clear those out. And the copper coming from up there is sparse, but we have enough copper from elsewhere that it's not an issue. So that's all fine.
Flight mode.
Alright, now let's turn around and fly over this way towards the more recent side of the base so that we can see how all this is going. So, we've got the ammo going out, and it seems to be only limited by production speed, which is fine, at least for now. Then we have several hundred plasma capsules built up, and we've got 50 plasma turrets built up. Okay, so that should be enough. That should be fine. How is the base missiles that we've been doing are like 30 damage, whereas these missiles are like 200. There's a bit of a gap there. How much do the laser turrets do? The laser turrets do 200 damage per second, which I have no idea how that compares to the missile turrets with the base ones, but it's probably better, aside from the AoE. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to figure out is, should we be adding in the ground target plasma turrets? Because that would take more energy capsules, but it would be quite good at blowing up the dark fog swarms. We could just try to get our fleets better. Like, we can have the battlefield analysis base have a fleet, and that should carry it. Like, I think we've still never gotten around to actually making attack drones, which I think are just like way better. Although the precision drones have better range, so who knows how that works out. But we've been doing precision drones for a long time. I don't know if upgrading to attack drones is like a huge deal or like a minor thing. Alright, either way, this should be enough. So we have... What we want to do is set up like good space defense in various places. So if we grab... We have 6 plasma turrets currently. Let's grab a stack of those just to see what it's going to look like. So we pop down a plasma turret. These things are real big. They take plasma capsules, obviously. Space range is 6,500 meters. I have no idea how big that is. Does it say, like... Does it say how big that is at all? Is there any way of knowing? No, it doesn't look like it. Alright, so yeah, there's just no way of knowing how big that is. They shoot pretty far. Yeah, the question is, how far is pretty far? Like, is this going to protect this entire side of the planet? Or is it going to protect, like, a decent-sized bubble? Or, like, you know, that sort of thing. Need to know how that works out. I guess it should be... So here on this planet, we can probably just, like, spam them out. So the problem is the defenses, right? So one planetary shield generator should be enough for the other 2 planets that I have stuff on. But this planet is going to be a lot more... Obviously, we have stuff all over the entire planet. So if they attack here, it's going to be a whole lot more annoying. So I need to be ready for that. Now, let's just start by, like, connecting you up to that. So you now have all the power you need. And you are just going to be sitting idle until they attack at this area. But, like, if you spread them along the planet, they will pick up the enemy. If you have the shield, it should be good if you place a couple. Okay. So, we just need to figure out, like, how spaced out they need to be without, like, both wasting turrets and space. So theoretically, like, a blob around the equator should get most of everything. And then I guess we can have, like, 1 or 2 up by the poles, just in case they do something wacky. But, like...
Upgrade.
You know, the question is, like, are these 2 close enough, for example? Probably... Right. Like, if we build the next one, like, all the way over here, is that going to be good enough? Or is it going to be too far? And, like, how... Because those 2 are, like, pretty reasonably spread out, right? You have to experience it. Use your own ships if you send them to space. Yeah. So, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's, like, our short-term plan. If everything goes wrong, we have a fleet that we can use to defend ourselves manually, in theory. Alright, let's get this. So I want to have access to these both, like, at multiple points around this planet and also in space. So if we set you to provide to other distributors, so that should hopefully get us covered for a bunch of plasma turrets here. And then if we get an interstellar logistics station just somewhere over there that this then connects into, and you are going to be a provider of those. Please don't carry 10 trillion of them. Just you're going to need to carry a lot in order for the ships to work fully efficiently, but something like that, and I don't have any on me right now. I'm going to have to go and grab those. For now, let's get you powered up, I guess. And speaking of which, is the energy grid looks fine.
Flight mode.
Alright, so let's go over this way and try to track down our interstellar logistics ships for that. Where do we think I left those off? Probably a little bit further than the science patch. Yeah, here they are. Alright, so we can grab these. 50 of those ought to last us for a while, and will probably also cause all sorts of weird stuff with the production, but that should be fine. So we just keep on going around. It was definitely faster to go this way. Alright, so now you get your logistics ships. We shouldn't need to send you warp drives, at least not for a while. So that should be fine. Let's just grab up that full stack so we have plenty of those.
Flight mode.
And now, if we just go over here, let's set up the good old classic logistics distributor, box, and distributor, and then you can take plasma capsules and request from other distributors. Alright, then this will be limited down to a single stack. And then the belt goes in. And theoretically that ought to do the trick. So we should see those coming in here. Although we currently don't. It says there's one available route. But I don't see any drones actually taking that route. Oh, I see, because they're all getting into this first. Right, that's obvious. Okay, so this will just have to get filled up before this can happen. Or we can set this up to work differently. Yeah, okay, let's set this up differently then. So you, instead, that splitter points off that way. And then goes into a second splitter, which has the box on it. So now we'll have some go into the Interstellar Logistics Hub, and some just go up to this. So that gets powered, and you have your drones, and you can provide those. So it says that there's some on the way. I assume that's the drones are still coming over. Right, and then you can be limited to like a stack, because we're going to have a bunch of stacks of these things eventually. Alright, so now that's set up. This should be getting its ammo delivered across. And if we just sort of keep placing these every so often, that should hopefully get this planet nice and secure. Yeah, so now you've got some of those. I wish I could limit these to like a quarter of a stack or something, because they do not need that much. Right now, if we just copy paste like that, and then save this as like plasma cannon or something, and then give it the visuals of a plasma turret. I called it plasma cannon in there. It's a plasma turret, so let's change that. Alright, so now we can save that blueprint, and now we just have to pop that blueprint down in like assorted places, and it should be fine.
Flight mode.
So I don't know how much spread out they have to be, but theoretically it should be fine, right? To just have them sort of loosely spread. Why did that require like 20 billion soil to place? That was a lot more than it normally takes to do that sort of thing. Who knows what's going on? Alright, so now we're going to go to the map view. So that is there. And then another one like sort of here-ish would make sense. And we grab you, just pop you down there. And theoretically this should be able to access the capsules. Yeah, I guess. It's a pretty deep part of the ocean, I guess. So then we can head over here and just try to get these on land adjacent areas if possible. Alright, then we just keep on going.
Flight mode.
And we need to get over to our recharge area in a bit, because that's starting to run pretty low. Alright, so that can go in there. I have no idea if these are like way too compact or way too spread out or what, but hopefully it won't matter too much and it'll just sort of work. How's the power grid going? We actually have so much charge that we can't charge that much more. So that's good. That's very good. So let's throw in another science. Let's get... I guess we might as well do research speed. It's always a science that we're allowed to do. And so that will just be taking the purple science and none of the others, which seems like that was actually relatively short for us to begin with. So maybe that is not a good decision, but I don't think it matters that much. 1,000 purple science is not really all that much. Alright, so that attack is being dealt with, and we are charged up enough that I probably don't need to worry about it anymore. And you haven't gotten anything yet, but you do say you have an available route, so I'm just going to trust you that the reason you haven't got anything is because there's no capsules at the moment. Alright, so now we just find, like, you can go in here, probably. No. It's barely not enough space. So I guess I'll just shove you over to there, and that's going to be a bigger gap than usual, but it should be fine. And at this point, we are back over to here. And I think this should be the last one, probably, because we're very close to where we need to be. And we need to pick up another drone port thing. Did I have those loaded in here? Yes, I did. There we go. So that should hopefully have us covered, and if all that isn't enough, then I will be sad. So, with that done, let's just go and... Okay, so we have like one planetary shield generator here. How much more of this would we need to... Is it going to take as much power to keep the second one running as it did to keep the first one running? Because if so, that's going to be a bit of an issue. So let's just try put you there. That should be close enough that like the shield bubbles should theoretically overlap, I think. And it is just going to take an enormous amount of power. Okay. So we will probably not add much more than this. I don't even know, like, it should be fine. Our generation capacity is actually quite high consistently now. Consumption demand isn't as bad. So it's probably fine, but just in case, we are not going to spam down. You're able to put like 80 down on one planet, and I don't even want to think about how much power that would take. Yeah, if you want to cover the planet, you need them all over the planet. Yeah, and that's just going to be very expensive in terms of power. So when the Dyson sphere gets bigger, hopefully that will be manageable, and then hopefully Dark Fog just doesn't attack here too much, and like these plasma turrets are enough to keep us safe until that is no longer an issue. Okay, so you are definitely working. And this is filling up with most of them. Okay, so yeah, let's just head over to our other planets. Head over to there. And actually the power grid might be an issue for them, because they only need like one shield generator each to cover everything I've built. But they might need a lot of space like within that. So I don't know like if we have the power to actually do that. So we will at least see what that's going to look like. So over to Agena 1. And this is the one which is being super heavily hammered by ground bases. So we'll see if we can do anything about that once we get over here. Alright, so here we are. We've got a couple of these, like, power station things, just, like, spread out where we've wiped out a hive or two. But, like, everything that matters is, like, in this blob. So if we just defend that, then
Flight
should
mode.
be fine, hopefully. So, we go down here, and if you... What's the power grid here like? It's kind of awful. Okay. But we do have plenty of lava for geothermal power stations, theoretically. So, let's just place a couple of those down. And that will be something. I should have probably just crafted a bunch of these when I was back where I had all of my resources to work with. Maybe I can scavenge some stuff out of the battlefield analysis bases. Like you have 100 steel, and that was something that we needed to make these. And we also need copper, which you should have plenty of that. And now we can make 5 of them. Yeah, I'm not in a huge rush, but I have to set up all this stuff at some point. So it definitely needs to be done at some point, and that point might as well be now. Alright, so now we just slap down a couple more geothermal power plants. And let's see here, we can probably squeeze another 1 or 2 in down here as well. Okay, so that's a lot more power, hopefully. That should be enough to run a shield generator, I think. Yeah, we definitely do not want to be stuck setting things up at the last possible second. Alright, so you get a shield generator, and that is now going to be charging up. And even with that, the power grid seems to be capable of handling it. So then let's set down a plasma turret or 2 so that we can actually do something about being attacked from space. And of course that power pole is right there. So yeah, probably just like over in this empty space over here should be still close enough that it shouldn't cause much of a difference. So those 2 just go in like that. They connect across. So they connect across to each other and then into a belt. Then we get the Tesla towers so that these have power, and now we just need to... Does this have all of its slots being used? No, it has 1 spare still. Alright. Congratulations. You can request like a couple hundred of those. And then we just have to find out how to get a belt out of here. So you can just go out like that. And just pop over some of these other belts and assorted objects, and then wrap around into those. Alright. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time playing various factory building games, so I alternate between Dyson Sphere Program and currently Factorio. So if you're interested in any of that, then that's approximately when I'll be live. Okay, so that's all set up, and this should be getting the plasma capsules in. It has the shield generator. That is charging up. And if I just go out to map mode, then all of the important stuff is behind that, and it's just like a bunch of laser turret spam that I haven't cleared out, and like this 1 super fancy geothermal generator. Now, while I'm here, I want to ideally see an actual dark fog attack, which seems like it's going to be a little while. So let's get combat drone damage plus. Combat drones are always nice and beneficial, so if we can just get those a little bit stronger. So how fast is this? It's not hugely fast, but it's kind of quick. And currently, most of your spare power is going into charging the shields, of course. This being a lava planet and just having, like, all this geothermal stuff is so nice. Just... I have to worry about power a little bit less here, especially considering it's not, like, a major... it's not a major production stuff, so I don't have to have, you know, a gigawatt of power or whatever it is. Okay, so these are all the missiles which are... Okay, yeah, they have actually been contributing, right? So we see kill counts in all of these, so the whole, like, having missile turrets supported with the relay signal towers is actually functional. But this entire setup remains incredibly scuffed. I assume that this is the direction they're attacking from, right? I have a signal tower here. Like, all these guys are getting kills. All the bases are right up there. And that's up to 90%. It does escalate pretty quickly. And they're just all over this place. Now, at some point, I want to actually, like, mess with them and set up, like, destroy their relay stations and cut them off from the planetary bases. Definitely not there yet. We still have time before that becomes an issue that is, like, actively worth dealing with. But that is, like, an eventual goal. Alright, so the planetary shield is still charging up. That's totally fine. Forgot what research I'm even doing. Oh yeah, combat drone damage. And they are just sort of hanging out up there. The last attacks have had, like, a lot of units in them. So, ideally, this is enough laser turrets and missile turrets to fend them off. But I don't know what exactly it's going to look like. So these bases don't actually have the combat drones. Presumably they used to, but they've all been destroyed. Alright, so that's another research down. And we can... Energy field efficiency. I guess that might be beneficial, so if we ever get attacked, then we can be more efficient, and that... I guess, I don't know how much that's gonna break the power budget, considering we haven't been attacked in all of this time from space, and it's like very slowly getting up to that point now. But it's basically a free upgrade, so we might as well. Now let's just sit here for a little bit longer while these bases are about to start attacking. And then there's like a... Yeah, so I did eventually learn that there was like this hotkey for entering like RTS mode, sort of, which... Squadrons are enabled. Switch to space. So we can, like, just start blowing up relay stations at some point if we want to. Or we could just ignore them and do it like this. Also, currently my space fleets are set up wrong, actually. They're supposed to be set up to have all corvettes. Okay, so that should theoretically be a little bit better. And space fleet expansion is insanely expensive. Ground squadron expansion, insanely expensive. That's impossible. These are all white science. And I don't even know what category of weapon the capsules are. I guess energy damage, just like the lasers. So I guess that would be a useful bonus to get. Let's try to get logistics carriers better. That's always nice to have. We're sort of pushing the logistics carriers pretty hard in some places. So if we can just get them to go a little bit faster and also carry a little bit more stuff, that should help us out a lot.
Flight mode.
Okay, so the attack is up to 98 point something %. And they're not attacking this group up here, right? That would be silly of them. It doesn't have a relay station, I think. Yeah, so that should be fine. They should be attacking these ones down here. So, let's just get over here and see what that looks like. Up to 99.2%. So that will be there any second. I should, because combat is about to be starting, I should throw some fuel in. Do I even have any fuel that's not in there? No. So that can go in, and then we can throw the rest of this stuff back into there. Just need enough fuel that you can do stuff without it breaking. Alright, so that
Dark fog cluster is launching an assault.
now coming. And, okay, we actually do get a bit of information on distances. So that up there is like 300 meters away from me, apparently. Which is a lot of distance for, like, the laser turrets have like a several thousand meter range. So they should be able to cover, like, the entire side of the planet, realistically. Alright, so these guys are coming in now. And I don't fully know how the combat mode works. But it looks like it's actually mostly the missiles, and the lasers are just, like, dealing with some of the ones that show up when we get overwhelmed. Alright, so that didn't look especially close. Like, the missiles never even got very close to hitting things. Like they didn't get close to the missiles at any point, so that should be fine. What is this station integrated logistics? What is that? I didn't even realize that was an upgrade that existed. +1 integration count from logistics stations. Integration count of outgoing car. I have no idea what you mean by integration count even means. I guess let's just keep upgrading that until we see what happens. Having faster logistics bots is definitely not a bad thing. Alright, so then the other attack is coming in now as well. Okay, so if we have this selected like this,
Dark fog
and
cluster
we
is
just
launching an
like
assault.
try to send out our ground squadrons, how does that even work? Like, is there some button that causes them to do that, or not? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Left click to launch the fleet. Right click to recall the fleet. Okay, I don't understand like how you're supposed to do that manually. Alright, so all the fleets are out, and we can have them move around like this, right? So, I assume they'll just automatically shoot at things if they get close to them. They don't seem to be automatically shooting at things as they get close to them. Alright, I'm just trying to figure out how these buttons even work. So you go out to there, and, like, I can't click on the hive to make them attack. Obviously, right-clicking just has them return.
Mineral
Maybe it's like
depleted.
space or something? No, I have no idea. I have no idea what the buttons are supposed to be for this. Okay, yeah, no, I give up. I'll figure it out later. So for now, like it's just... Okay, now they're just out permanently anyways. Can you just go away? Thank you. And thank you. Alright, cool. So we've almost figured out how that works, but not quite. So now this planet should be safe from space attacks, right? It should be fine. Like, with all that stuff set up. We've got the plasma turrets. Well, only 2 of them, but we also have, like, a bunch of missile turrets over there, which can hopefully contribute a little bit. And I guess this area over here could technically get bombarded or something. I don't know how the space attacks even work, to be honest. I just assume that they can like, do orbital bombardment or something and make me very sad, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So this is almost... It's like most of the way to being fully charged, so that should be fine. Okay, let's just head over to the other planet, Agena 2, and see what we need to do over there. Getting the power situation fixed is going to be a lot more difficult over there because we don't have the geothermal stuff to make it easy. Okay, apparently we're real close to the hive right now because all of my fleets have spawned in, but we're just going to travel super quickly and ignore them, and then it should be fine. So off we go. And yeah, so now we can land here safely. And then somewhere in all of this, up that way, is our base on this planet, which we really should have moved over to this being our main base because it's just nice and flat. But we never did, and it's way too late now, so we're just going to be like this. Alright, so, as far as power is concerned, power production here is very bad. kind of atrocious. And we need a lot in order to get it set up safely. So for now, we are just going to give it the plasma turrets. So it'll at least be able to shoot back, even if it doesn't have a proper shield. It'll at least not be entirely defenseless. Right, so we just do something like that, and then that belt goes in. And then this place, I forgot that this literally only does silicon. So you can request, like, a couple hundred plasma capsules, set up to be a receiver. And we'll give you some of those just in case that was an issue, which I don't think it is, but there we go. And now that ammo goes out, and that should be all set up if this worked properly. So if we had enough power for our shields, and if we had enough plasma capsules to actually deliver them over here, then that would be good to go. Instead, we're going to need to do something about this. I don't fully know what needs to be done yet. Got these defenses over here, but I could have sworn we had some power pole get hit that wasn't in range. Was it like this power pole that wasn't in range of a battlefield analysis base for auto repairs? And considering almost the entire base is within range, it's basically has to be this power pole back here, which I don't know how they've managed to even do that, but can I just craft up a battlefield analysis base? I need to grab some engines. So hopefully that stuff should help me. Yeah, so now we can craft that up. Get a bunch of engines crafted. Wait, no, there's a base right there. What on earth? Where? What power pole could have possibly been destroyed that isn't in range?
Replication complete.
I guess like exactly that one? Maybe? I don't know. Just put that up there. And if that was the case, then it's not a problem anymore. And we should be fine. You have plenty of these. Let me actually get you set up to take even more so that hopefully that'll be good. Okay, my fuel chamber is still quite low. To the point where it's going to be slow to get back from here because we're not going to be able to accelerate fast enough. So let's put some fuel in the chamber, stand next to a power tower,
Extraterrestrial
and then
dark
wait.
fog is assaulting.
So Agena 1 is being attacked again. It should still just be fine. And our soil supply is slowly accumulating again. So that should be okay. The silicon is still not an issue. And you do have ammo now, so that should be, hopefully this should, like, if they attack this planet, which has nothing going on, then I will be kind of surprised, as opposed to Agena 1, where we're constantly fighting dark fog like every 5 minutes. Alright, so that is going. We are like halfway up. Alright, the laser turrets take damage, as does the relay tower. So we might need a little bit more support over on Agena 1. But it should be fine. Like, ideally, we just start blowing up their comms towers and then we don't care anymore. Alright, let's just head back to base,
Flight mode.
which is apparently
Cruise mode.
directly through the planet that we're on. So we can fly back to here and then get that sorted out. So we can fly back and figure out what resources we're struggling with right now, if any. Alright, where are we? We are just sort of right by the old base, which means our recharge area is over this way. So let's fly down this way, and we can also check on how the science is going, because I assume it's a green science shortage, but you never know. I almost overshot. Alright, so let's stand in here. And yeah, so 0 green science, thousands of yellow science, a little bit of spare purple science, but not actually that much. So we might have to investigate that at some point. It should be fine in the short term, obviously, but there's clearly something going wrong with it. It might be titanium shortage. This belt isn't fully saturated, which is a pretty classic sign that something's going wrong with it. I don't know. Let's fly down and see what's up with purple science. So purple science is, it's got plenty of processors. It's missing these, and these are missing the carbon nanotubes, which is just a throughput problem basically. So we need to cook up more of these quantum chemical plants and get that upgrade in, and then it should be fine.
Flight mode.
How's the Dyson sphere going right now? It's been a while since I've checked, so hopefully it's looking a lot better. We're up to 400 megawatts, so that's like 200 megawatts since the start of the stream, like 100 megawatts-ish since I last checked. And we are requesting way more than that, of course. But look at this. It is starting to take shape. Dark fog is stealing 10 of them, which is kind of annoying, but not a big deal. All the solar sails are just instantly attaching up as quickly as they can be launched. So, I think what we actually want to have is more EM rail ejectors. So, that takes steel and gears in addition to what we already have. So let's actually just set those up to be automated. It's probably overkill, but might as well. So those all get built up. And you can go to buildings, EM rail ejector, paste those across. Alright, so we need steel, gears, processors, supermagnetic rings. Now, I feel like we did steel just recently, right? Yeah. And then processors, supermagnetic rings are obviously all here. The steel is here. So the only thing that we're going to need to bring a super long distance are the gears, which should be somewhere in this sort of general vicinity. Yeah, okay, they're not too far either. Nice. This should be a nice, quick, easy upgrade. So we just bring those along. And it goes forwards like this. And we just keep them going. And a little bit further. And that should be gears brought all the way forwards. Now we do steel. So this just goes out to there. Then we need processors and supermagnetic rings, both of which we have right here. Alright, so those are all forwards. Now we can just pave over some of that territory to put the splitters in. Bam, bam. Oh, not there. That is one off to the side. You need to be there, and then you're there. Alright, now we just connect all these guys up, and it should be nice and quick. So these last belts just have to wrap around into the bus lanes. Like that, like that, like that. And then we're out of belts. Let's grab another 300 from there. So then this goes into that. And that should be everything. That should give us a bunch of EM rail ejectors, which I can't imagine we're going to need that many of these before we just run out of sails. But we might as well get it set up to a box like we normally do. So that runs all the way down that way. And there we go. So now we can just find space for this, I guess, around here. Gosh, this is starting to get a little bit messy sort of around the edges, but there we go. That's connected up. You get a box, and then you can be limited to one stack, which we're probably never going to need more than that first batch that we just got here. So now we just want to create a nice little line of those, which the sails are on the main bus, right? Like back here somewhere. Yes, here they are. So if we actually just we can actually just turn the launching into a main bus thing. So we bring those forwards. We give them a designated line, and then we just set up a bunch of EM rail ejectors in that designated line. Okay, so off you go. Now we just go down here This is kind of a silly way of doing this, but it should be fine. So, you need space, of course. And you need to just get a bunch of these guys built in, and they are apparently going down quite far towards the pole. Okay, now we just have an input belt which runs across, and that ought to feed us everything that we need for this. So these get connected up, and they get power poles, which I guess have to be like out here in order to both power the ejector while not getting in the way. So those are all in.
Flight
And
mode.
then we run down this way. And the solar sails, they can have a splitter, although I don't think they'll ever split to anything else. But they go down here, and they just sort of go, and into there. So now all the belts get in, and these guys can now load up with solar sails, and we need to do auto orbit mode, and I guess don't know what apply all it means, but okay, so let's tell these to try orbit 1 first, and then be in auto orbit mode. So theoretically this should just get all of those guys launching eventually. And so that is loading up. All right, and now they're starting to launch into an orbit. So that is going to be way faster solar sail launching than we had previously, which hopefully will be a good thing and not just... Okay, it's just going to instantly drain our solar sail reserves, but that's fine. Now let's head over and actually check the Dyson sphere. So, we've got all of these guys,
Upgrade complete.
and the logistics carrier engine is upgraded. So, we now have like 160 some attaching, and that number is going up. So, I believe that should help. Obviously, eventually we're going to run out of spare solar sails, at which point everything is going to kind of grind to a halt. But before that, we should be in good shape. So this gets the solar sails for the sphere components, which we need. Now let's make sure that the splitter here... Let's make sure that this splitter here is output priority bottom, so that we always have enough sails for the sphere components that we need, and then it's the excess ones that actually get launched. And let's do the same thing here. So that's going to be the priority. So now the sails should mostly ignore this one as well, and they should just go over to get launched elsewhere. Okay, so now that that's set up, now it might make sense to actually improve this. So you are just graphene plus photon combiners. That's all. So if we just add more of you, if we add more of these buildings in, that should get us quite solid in terms of production. So like that should have doubled our production, and now we've tripled it. And I'll add one more because we have the space for it in this segment. Alright, so now we should have a whole bunch of solar sails getting produced until we run out of one of these things inevitably. But that should be quite solid. Okay, wait. Did these not get... Yeah, I didn't copy-paste the output belt properly. Whoops. So that goes up to there. And then these belts all get connected up. And that should be a whole bunch more solar sail production. So that should accelerate our entire setup. So now that's going. We have just like kind of continually 1.1 gigawatts of generation capacity. It's been at that level every time I've looked. And do we have a backlog of this? No, we don't. But it is going pretty good. Alright, so that's fine. Power is back up to a stable point where we actually have a ton of excess, which means that we can start worrying about like more shield generators maybe. How does the shield generator on this planet work actually? So then we go to map mode, and so those two are like pretty reasonably well spaced, and they take up like, what's that, maybe a sixth of the planet around. So if we had a bunch more, we could get everything covered, but we definitely don't have a bunch more, so it's going to be hard. And we have plenty of generators, we just do not have, like, the power is better, it's not that much better. And hopefully our increased sail production and launching will help with that. But who knows? Okay, let's also check, because the capsules now are a potential limiting factor for our defenses against space attacks. So this goes out here. How many capsules do we have? We have 50 spare in that one. You've got your 5 lined up. This has a couple hundred spare, but it's gonna probably have to keep launching them pretty frequently. Alright, let's get vein utilization. That's important. To get all that more efficient. And then I think we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon here.
Flight mode.
So, okay, here's a question. The solar sails, they are currently just stopped because the launchers can't find any orbits to send to because it's nighttime. Now, when it becomes daytime, then they should start launching again. And are they able to launch throughout their entire lifespan? Like, we might want to put a box in here so that we can produce solar sails during the nighttime and then launch them during the day. It will depend if these end up draining fully. So if these end up like fully depleting this backlog of solar sails, then we will want to add a box in here. Otherwise, they're just fine as is, and that's okay too. But I need to know which one it is so that I know whether to put that box in or not. And they are currently just sort of sitting there doing nothing. And if we check the orbits, yeah, all the solar sails are getting incorporated at this point, like instantly. So the Dyson swarm is doing nothing. All right, so these have started launching, and there's 5 of them. And if I think we want to have the box in no matter what. So if these don't keep up with the full production, then we probably just want to add more in, like, until needed, until that actually becomes like launching as many as we can. Because if we check back to this, we need We need 83,000 cell points, which means I assume that's 83,000 solar sails, which is a lot considering how fast we're making them right now. And that's also like, we want to add the second half down here as well. So we're definitely going to need to be launching these super fast. And obviously the more we launch, the more spare power we'll have, and then we can stop worrying about power. Like, currently it's still occasionally like, ooh, I should check the power, but if we have a full Dyson sphere going, then that won't be an issue anymore. So, these are launching away. And then the first one up here seems to have gotten stuck again. But these ones down here are still going. I don't know why that is. Is it just because of their latitude or whatever? Like, I guess that one could be because it's at a higher latitude, it can't fire, but I don't know why that would be. That feels wrong. It feels like I'm missing something there. But yeah, let's just add on the rest of these guys. So we have another 9 of these. Let's just plop them all down. And I guess this will be a good chance to test that theory that the latitude or longitude or whatever it is matters somehow. Alright, we need to fill in some of that space. And now we are down at this random coal mine, which is fine. We can just stop there for now. Like, we don't have that much solar sail production that any more than this is going to be reasonable, probably. So for now, we can just go like this and connect that up to there. Alright, now we feed them the sails, and then we get the power poles in. And those are all set up. And now the power poles. So you get a power pole, and you two get a power pole, and you two get a power pole, and then you get a power pole. Okay, somehow we've managed to mess that gap up, so let's get one in there. And
Flight mode.
I think that's what that apply all button was for. Just hopefully getting all of these set up. Alright, so now those are all set up and running, except that they can't currently reach any orbits. And that includes these ones down here, right? So you should be set up to be orbit 1 each. So now, yeah, I mean, just auto orbit mode is probably fine, right? So we just get all these set up. We tell them to go to orbit 1 first in case that matters. And then hopefully that will be enough.
Flight mode.
Alright, so those are all in. And I mean, the day-night cycle actually is going to be a bit wacky
Flight
with the, like, how long this is. And I guess ideally we just like have this go straight down like across the other side of the planet so that we have more constant launches. I don't know. I think this, like, we don't have that much solar sail production still, I don't think. Unless it's going really well over here, which I guess it seems to be. Like, how much do these make? It's product overflow, so it won't tell me. But if we go into here, And then this is 1 every 2 seconds, but it's in a tier 3 machine, which is 1.5 times speed. So faster than that, I guess. Don't know by how much. Okay, is our Deuteron fuel keeping up? Okay, the power plant side of things seems to be fine. I don't know about the carrier rocket side of things, though. That seems to be having issues. So we need more deuterium. So that's going to be a future goal. Is I've been told about planets full of deuterium where you can just get it for free without work. So let's look. Yes. So this star over here, for example, it's got a variety of items, but 0.14 per second deuterium, for example. And then there's a couple other, like that is 0.04 per second deuterium, which is a lot slower. And I'm looking for the monopolar magnets or whatever as well, because that was what I needed for the arc furnaces. I'm not seeing those anywhere nearby. But yeah, there's plenty of like deuterium available, so that we won't fix that this stream because we're pretty much near the end of it, but that is something that we can fix quite easily, I think. Alright, so now all of these are just firing away non-stop, except for when they stop. So the total solar sails are now much higher, and we're starting to see some serious progress. So 247 attaching at a time now, and potentially rising a bit. So those, they sort of go up there, and then I guess arc down and attach down here somewhere. Something like that. And it's just sort of going along. We've made the most progress over here for some reason. And then other than that, it's just sort of scattered individual cells around everything else. And the structure is going pretty slowly, but we are slowly building the structure as well. Okay, so are all of these guys keeping up with our solar sail production? Even with all of those? Okay, no. Even with all of those, it's actually incredibly close. It's incredibly close. So if we just... yeah, if we just add like a couple more, then it would probably be fully utilized. Which I'm not sure if we even want that to happen, or if we want to have excess just to be sure. But power production should be a problem of the past now, I think. So if we check you're doing 476 megawatts and growing. And even with Dark Fog taking more and more of that, it's not an issue. Space Hive is up to 83% threat, so that's going to be something we will almost certainly have to worry about next stream. But it shouldn't be an issue this stream. Now, over here, the quantum chips are out of these things, which are out of kimberlite crystals again. So that's going to be something we need to fix. Is this just... no, you're short on grading crystals. Okay. So that is going to be... that's going to be an issue, which... I wonder if we just, like, completely drained that place, or if it's just 1200 in transit. No idea what's going on with that. But yeah, okay, so I think we're going to wrap up here for the day. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. It's been a very fun and very productive stream. We have sort of the beginnings of a Dyson sphere. If we just, like... if you look out here, can you see it in this mode? Yeah, you can. So we have the beginnings of a Dyson sphere. It's getting built bit by bit. And we've also sort of started to address the worries about space defenses. So that should be fine as well. And all told, things are progressing quite nicely. So, yeah, that's going to be it. I will be doing Factorio again tomorrow, where we are working on more various types of science. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in various factory building games, then you should follow if you haven't already, so that you know when I'm live and what I'm doing. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.